Josh.
I'm Josh.
And I'm not Josh, but together we are
Joshing Around in Air. Welcome back to the podcast. Gents, it's lovely to see you.
You too, yeah.
Guys, I completely forgot about this. I've got a gift for you guys. Not a gift, but like a gift for our session.
Oh, Christmas has come early.
I don't even know if this is like your vibe, so please tell me not to do it if it's not your thing. But I was just in my room and I was like, oh, you know what we need? Just to like relax and have a nice chat about Conquest. There's a nice little rhubarb and elderflower scented candle.
I mean, it's like, it wouldn't have mattered how many guesses you would have given me. I would have never ended up there. I just thought you were more like a musk man.
Sorry, what are you trying to say? Man, I like the subtle kind of fruity
amazing
sense from Sainsbury's Habitat rhubarb and elderflower. Sorry, shall I read? The description is juicy rhubarb paired with a fresh apple and a hint of vanilla.
That is my favourite sort of rhubarb, so yeah, let's do it.
Right, I'm just going to light this one.
I really didn't realise it was going to be a gift that the listeners at home cannot appreciate in any way, shape or form.
So they will have got lovely ASMR of me lighting the candle.
Well,
guys, I'm not going to lie, this smells great. This smells banging. I'm loving it. Right.
It looks very festive as well. I have no idea what date this is dropping, like March 2024, something like that.
Yeah, so probably like that. But we are recording in December 2020.
At Sainsbury's, we're very open to a sponsorship deal here.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Sainsbury's sponsors hit us up. You know what I'm saying? Right. Cool, let's do our listener question now that the mood is set. So this is from one of our lovely listeners. This is, hi Josh, your discussions have me pondering. If you were a ferromancer, how would you navigate the challenges of under-spire politics while honing your abilities? Inquisitively, Josh. This person's also called Josh.
Oh, a listener who's also called Josh.
Yeah.
It's a coincidence.
Yeah, definitely a real listener as well.
I suppose I ought to field it first as the resident Spires player.
Exactly.
It feels to me like an important tension because it's important to keep on honing one's abilities. What was the first time? Navigating under Spires politics.
Yes. Specifically at the under Spire. Yeah.
Never want to raise one's head above the parapet too far because that exposes you to all sorts of unpleasant consequences.
Of course.
And so a quiet corner for experimentation, which is a good conversation starter.
Yep. Okay.
And so, it's got that networking aspect to it.
Nice.
And then comes with a nice side effect of stumbling upon, a successful sequence of ferromancies that work well on the battlefield.
Okay. Hopefully give you a bit of renown. Okay.
Yeah, not too much though.
You don't want to put your head up above the water, right?
No, like the role of a ferromancer is very clear. Keep me with the drones. These objects that have no thoughts or feelings and can't do anything for themselves. That's okay. Being herding them around, that's all right. But you don't want to go mixing around with projecting, your avatar.
No, we'll leave that to the upper echelons.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. I'm glad you touched on that thing you said earlier, Sam. Actually, because I've always said this about the underspire. The most important thing in your career as a ferromancer is the networking. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes. There we go.
Well, thank you
for life as well.
Exactly.
Because this is the podcast that likes to add value.
Just to clarify, Sam actually is a professional coach. So you guys are getting some coaching literally free of charge.
Yeah.
For the price of your Spotify or whatever podcast subscriber you use, you are getting some quality content. Excellent. So, Sam, me and you had a game the other day. We had a match. What was it? Maybe a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
And that was a fun game. Should we talk about that?
Yeah. I think it would be a good place to start for you to quickly summarise your list. I know we talked about it in the previous episode.
Bring it up right now. Okay. This is called Cornford List November 23, because this was literally the list that Josh said in the last podcast about our meme list. And I heard it and I thought that was great. I think I made a couple changes here and there, but it was great. So it's got 3 warbands. The first one is a chapter mage. She's doing some fire spells and she's doing a bit of shooting because she is with her bros, the mercenary crossbowmen. And she's also got 2 other mercenary crossbowmen in her warband. So, you know, if there was a visual for this, I'd have a mercenary crossbowman counter in the corner as I read this list out, because there's quite a few. Then it is the Priory Commander, the Crimson Tower. He's bringing 4 stands of Crimson Tower and 4 more stands of Crimson Tower. So that's double block of Crimson Tower. No Ashen Dawn. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. And then the last warband is the Imperial Officer with a mercenary crossbowman, a mercenary crossbowman, a mercenary crossbowman, and a Steel Legion of 5 block. So that's basically 6 crossbowmen, a Steel Legion, and 2 blocks of Crimson Tower.
Crimson Tower, yeah. Yeah, so that is one meme list, and that was playing against my meme list called Pigeons and Spiders. And in the way that I described it in the last episode, I introduced far too much diversity into the list, and so I took it away and I neatened it up a little bit. And so what I ended up with is 2 warbands, both led by a Ferromancer.
Nice.
One has got
question nailed it today.
one has got 2 blocks of Strix, 6 stands in each, and an Abomination, and then the Ferromancer is projected into a set of brute drones. Then the second warband, the Ferromancer, is in with a set of Force-grown drones, a big block of 8, and with another block of Strix and then 2 Abominations. So what we've got is 3 sets of Strix, 3 Abominations, and Force-grown drones and brute drones, because that's the only way to bring the rest of them on, basically. There's no option other than to do that.
Yeah.
And now I've got a play-by-play of the match that we had. We used the grind them down scenario. So that's the one with a big objective zone in the middle and then 4 little ones. And we were scoring points. You get 1 point for each zone and an extra 2 if you're holding 2 or more. And then you have to declare a zone at the a little zone at the beginning of each turn. And if you get into that one, you get an extra 3.
Yes. So, and that was if you weren't already in it and then you got into it in that turn, you got the extra.
You get an extra 3. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, I remember that from LGT. It was a lot of like back and forthing, taking and retaking zones, and you kept swapping over and getting more and less points.
Well, yes. Well, it's important actually that the way to maximise the points there is to have nothing from the opponent nearby, and then to just hop between 2 zones. So you get your point for holding it, an extra 3 points for stealing it. So that's 4 points basically for free. And if you can do that multiple turns in a row, that'll take the game. So turn 1, it's important to note that one of the upgrades I'd given that second Ferromancer in with the Force-grown drones gave them flank and double time. And so turn 1, I had brought on 2 sets of Strix and my Force-grown drones, and both of them had run up a significant distance. So the Force-grown drones were at 16 inches, Strix were up 20 inches each. On the other side of the table, we had 4 sets of mercenary crossbowmen and the chapter mage. Come on right at the beginning.
Cool. So they were on the same flank, yeah.
Yeah, and the view from where I was standing was that all of them had walked at precisely the same distance and almost reached from one edge of the table to the other, just lining up in one thin line. And I was running up ready to take it. No scoring there because there were no scoring units on. No problem. This is easy. Right. Turn 2 then. 2 more sets of mercenary crossbowmen come on. So that's all 6 on. And a set of brutes. Now, I've made an important note here, and I haven't noted who it was that suffered it, that there was somebody tried to charge, and the target they were needing to roll is 2, and they failed.
I think that was you.
That probably was me, wasn't it? Yeah, with my force-grown drones not quite getting into your...
Yes, because I got
mage.
another round of shooting into them before I took any Aura of Death. I mean, we'll talk about that later.
Oh, yeah, so note that, because that could have been a significant moment.
Yeah.
Another joyful moment that happened in turn 2 is that the mercenary crossbowmen, one of the new units that you'd brought on, landed on top of a hill so that they could see everything. So they were going to be the ones that would just do everything.
Yep.
And they missed every single shot.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Turn 3, on come the Steel Legion and the Crimson Tower. So that's the entire army on. And I get my final set of Strix on, which hadn't managed to come on the previous turn, and an Abomination, and my Strix really got to work, crashing into the side of one and into the front of another, and each time they touched a set of mercenary crossbowmen, they just died straight away.
Melted.
One turn.
Yeah.
So, well done, Strix. I also had to use, because of getting all of these shots into the force-grown drones, I had to use the Ferromancer's ability to unbreak my unit when I would have used it to do something a bit more clever. So I wasn't healing as much as I would have liked to have done. Which again, that's important. But the score at the end of turn 3 was 4-0 to me.
Yeah.
Turn 4, the second set of Crimson Tower, I said that wrong. It wasn't your entire army, because your second set of Crimson Tower, the one with the Priory Commander, came on behind this little rock.
Yeah.
Just ready for probably the most controversial moment of the game, which will be happening at the beginning of next turn. And my other 2 Abominations come on. My force-grown drones with my Ferromancer finally are about to do something, and they get shot and die before they have made contact. So that is 450 points that I had invested in them.
Oh, man.
Just disappeared. Didn't do a single point of damage.
The worst part was that they had Aura of Death 4, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's right, yeah.
And so they charged into whatever was in front of them. Probably some mercenary crossbowmen.
Yeah, it was.
But because I had so many crossbowmen, I just kept activating the other ones and shooting your force-grown drones until they died.
Yeah.
So then when the regiment finally activated, the regiment had gone.
Had already disappeared, yeah. It was very annoying, because all I was thinking, all I need is one stand to survive.
Yeah.
Because I can heal it back up, and it'll start
course.
doing damage. And then once your mercenary crossbowman, you'll take an Aura of Death. You're not going to last long.
But it just died to a stiff
did
breeze.
The Steel Legion managed to lose a stand fighting against some Strix, and I think that it was purely on lethal demise that happened.
Yeah, they are. Strix are the perfect little reciprocal for Steel Legion, because you're just like, great, oh, that's lovely that you do all of that damage. I guess you'll just take it back.
And here came one of the most significant tactical choices of the game. The Crimson Tower was sitting back, and Josh audibly tried to walk through this decision. Am I going to move forward and score?
That's so indecisive.
Or am I going to sit back and make sure I don't get charged?
Or what choice did you go for?
I went for the scoring in the end.
Man.
I went for the scoring.
So that gave him his first point of the game. So end of turn 4, it was 12-1 to me.
It was. I was about to say it must have been a proud moment for you, Josh, to be always me to choose the objective play over that. But for one measly point, it really didn't feel that great.
I mean, if you'd thought about it a little bit earlier, surely that would have been. Was it a big objective or small objective?
Oh no, it was a small objective that I definitely could have chosen to be, but I decided to choose one on the other on the flank, which my other Crimson Tower we're never going to get to.
But at that point, it wasn't entirely impossible that your Steel Legion couldn't have got there, but because the Strix came into them.
Well, no, the Steel Legion were on the same side as that. The Crimson Tower with the Warlord. The one I picked was on my right hand side flank, your left.
Oh, is that not
there was
the one?
basically a lone thing of Crimson Tower.
No, you moved on to score that one.
Oh, I did.
The one that you had named was the one where the Steel Legion were approaching, but you hung the Crimson Tower back when they came on.
Oh, yes.
And then
that
the Steel Legion got charged. And that was important.
Yes, it was.
Because turn 5, Sam wins the supremacy roll.
Yep.
And at that point, I had won every single supremacy roll.
Who has more
I
cards?
just cannot win supremes. Oh, me, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, surely that many regiments.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I had
I
a
think
lot
so.
of crossbow
Yeah,
moves.
yeah,
So,
so many
I think there
little ones.
might have been a time when we were even, but that was towards the
Yeah.
end of the game.
Yeah, after you were killing a lot of my stuff.
And my crossbowmen had all gone.
Now then, I've written something here, and it doesn't make any sense at all.
What does it say? I might be
What
able
it
to-
says is, and it can only have been you that it's referring to, you used Blessed on Defense 3. Was it my abomination charging into your
So
Crimson
yes,
Tower, maybe?
so that was the what I felt was quite controversial. Was this what happened? Is you won the supremacy, and you were going to activate a different abomination, and then you changed your mind to the abomination that I wasn't even thinking in my brain that you'd go for.
No.
And you went for it, and I was just like, oh yeah, of course, because abominations just teleport at 10 inches of movement. I'm like, great. And so we kind of spent, I don't know, like 10 minutes figuring out how to get you around this rock.
Yeah.
And I'm just like sweating because I'm like, mate, he's going to like charge into my Crimson Tower. And if he does that, I lose all of all of the Crimson Tower's use.
Yeah.
They're just sitting in front of an A-bomb.
So
And so, yeah, we ended up, it was absolutely fine because you had enough movement to get around.
Yeah, and what we also did with that was I was measuring 11 inches, which was validating I didn't need to roll for the charge.
Yes. Yeah.
So actually, we didn't even end up rolling. We concluded I probably just manipulated things just to was getting tired by that point. You know, we just wanted to
you
finish
definitely
the game.
pulled a fast one on me as far as that.
But if I'd rolled and it was a 6, it would definitely have been in. Like it was.
Oh, I mean, it was more. I think it was more like the angles of being able to get around the rock and stuff. But once
how
that
long
was
is the
fine,
wheel?
because you've got so much movement, there's not even a chance to roll. Like you don't even need to roll, so it was absolutely fine.
So my abomination did this little charge just around a corner, crashed into the Crimson Tower. I hit. Oh no! You know what I did? I did that, and then I did that in the previous turn. It must have been because then I used my Ferromancer to double clash
Yeah.
to give decay. So I hit 19 times. You had used Blessed.
On one of the attacks.
Yeah, and you were on defense 3.
Sorry, was this? It was the abomination that I took a bunch of hits from.
Yeah, so this
Because
is,
it was it's cleave 1. This is I don't remember the exact number of dice, but you might have it written down. So your abomination went into my Crimson Tower, right? They're defense 4 from the front because they're 3 with a shield. Your cleave 1. Okay, so you're obviously taking away that shield, basically, bringing me down to my base defense stat, which is 3. And then what happened is I rolled terribly on my defenses from your very good roll. I mean, you've got flurry on the abomination, but you know it's 2 to 3. But it's like, yeah, you did some good attack rolls. Then I did a defense roll. You know, bombed it. Like I think I maybe saved like 1 or 2.
It was that you let in 11 out of 19 with a reroll on defense 3.
Oh, and that was the final result after the reroll. Yeah, that was brutal. That was brutal.
Wait, you got 19 hits from your abomination.
So I think this is really high quality podcast listening.
Wait, no, this happened. No, wait.
I think what it might have been is the Strix into the Steel Legion. Anyway,
yes. Okay.
you failed 11 out of 19 on defense 3.
Yeah.
The result, and then there's something else here with failing 6 out of 8 resolve, which had gone down from 4 to 3. So that must be the terrifying from the abomination.
Yeah.
And then you re-rolled the extra 2, and
Yes.
it went to 8 out of 8.
Yeah, I think so. Something like that.
My notes make absolutely no sense here at all. Long story short, it was quite annoying for Josh,
Yes.
and I used some pheromancies.
Oh no, you played it brilliantly as well.
So at the end of turn 5, we'd lost a whole lot of mercenary crossbowmen. They were almost all disappeared by this point.
The floor was littered with the bodies of mercantile.
One of
choosers.
the abomination that I had right in the middle of the table, that one had gone, which was, I think, the mercenary crossbowmen had finished that one off. And the Strix were really doing their job. The score at the end of turn 5, 19-1.
19-1.
Yeah.
So
I
the one
was
objective
flagging.
you were on, Sam managed to contest you on.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the brute drones were in it or something. Or no, the abomination. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, abomination. Turn 6, this is where it turns, because Josh wins the supremacy.
Finally, yes.
All on a supremacy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
The pheromantic drive on the abomination kills the abomination,
Yes, you make yourself explode. Yeah,
but it did take 2 stands off the Crimson Tower, which was important.
yeah.
Second abomination gets killed by the mercenary crossbowmen. The brutes with their flurry really did their job and took care of the Steel Legion. But this is the point where I am now down to basically a block of brood drones and nothing else. Final score at the end of turn 6 is 19-8. I won the supremacy turn 7. Pheromantic drove the brute drones so that they would clash twice, which was beautiful in taking out the Steel Legion and taking out a whole bunch of Crimson Tower, but
Yeah.
not all of them,
Yeah.
which meant that then they hit back and basically finished me off. So, end of turn 7, the score was 19-12, and then he just did the jumping from one to the other. So turn 8 was 19-19, him by himself. Turn 9,
that was the
19-26.
Crimson Tower that were left would just jump between two. Yeah.
And
So
turn
just
10.
move, reform. Yeah.
So final score, 19-33, and both of us felt like we'd lost. That was basically the conclusion.
Yes. I remember, literally the first thing I said as we figured it out and we were like, right, that's the score, was like, yeah, I don't feel like I won that. Like, I didn't deserve that win, but I guess it just, what it came down to for me was the strength of the list, is that the fact that I'm just like, so much of my stuff is dying, but it's fine because it's mercenary crossbowmen, and they're just like, they're there to die. And they did their job. And I think there's a couple of times where actually your 2 abominations were left on like 2 or 3 health, and 2 MSUs of mercenary crossbowmen finished them off, right? And that stopped you scoring even more.
Yes.
Because I think there was a point in the game where you were using 2 abominations, just sitting them on objectives and just going, well, that's what they're there for. But yeah, I think that the list really helped me out there, and it helped out my play style, which is, I don't want to think too much. I'm just going to push stuff in your face. And when it's mercenary crossbowmen and stuff like that, it's great. So I think it was quite resilient in that sense, that even though I lost a few supremacies, got a bit unlucky with some rolling, there was actually enough bodies on the table that I was able to stick around. I think stuff with that block of 4 square drones, obviously it would have been really nice for you if that was still around, and I think that would have made a difference.
Sounds like the scenario really won it, because
Yes.
it's like, as someone who plays Old Dominion a bit and often table someone but only have a Form Divinity left, it's rare that one regiment can get you that many points
Yeah.
in like the remaining 3 turns.
Yeah.
That's a great point, actually. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, because just that regiment of, I think it was literally 1 Crimson Tower and
one standard
and the
Crimson
Priory Commander with him.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Just they were just moving back and forth, and it just
Yeah, so parts of that game were extremely enjoyable. And I think on both sides, the things that the lists were created for, which was a lot of fast movement and a lot of shooty.
Yes.
And both of the lists did exactly what they said on the tin.
Oh, I mean, I'm just imagining, like, that scene in the Return of the King, where like the Nazgul are just like picking up like horse, like Rohan riders and just like flinging them across the field. That's exactly what I felt like your Strix were just doing to my mercenary crossbowmen, right? They're just being flung up into the sky by these like...
Yeah, that's what the Strix wish pigeons. That they were like.
It's just a lot of pegging, yeah.
Okay, I got a question for you guys. So obviously we try to intentionally make the lists a bit like meme worthy. If you had to make like, I don't know, change out 1 or 2 regiments to try and make it more legitimate, like something, you know, you might try at a tournament or something like that. What changes would you make to the lists?
It was 2,000 points, wasn't it?
It was 2,000 points. I love having loads of abominations. 3 abominations feels brilliant because you can just do anything. But they do die. So having multiple ones is good.
They are quite nice and cheap though, aren't they?
Yeah.
How much are they? 160?
150, 160,
yeah. It was great. Hang on.
Oh yeah, to say that, 150. Oh, I was right. I should have been more.
Because I've always been a bit jealous of that as a Nords player. Because I mean, the Mountain Jotnar was cheap until it recently got nerfed. But yeah, like when you're paying 240, 250 points for an Ice or Sea Jotnar, like just having the models to run 3 of them is one thing, but also the cost wise of how many points of your army, it's just too much. Whereas 150 running 3 of them, it's less than a quarter of your army, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, when I look at what's performed on the table, it was 450 points for the Force-Grown Drones and the Pharamancer that actually did nothing apart from taking attacks. And that was the same amount as the 3 abominations, which did a lot. So having lots of abominations, definitely a good thing to do. The Strix, I love the Strix.
They're brilliant.
Probably 3 units is too many. But that fills up quite a lot of slots.
That was a lot.
But the Brute Drones, with Flurry and Oblivious, I'd given that Pharamancer Aura of Death 6 as well. So that was just an extra little something for something that's activating into its face. That did quite well. So I think to turn that one into a tournament-ready list, I'd lose at least 1 set of Strix.
Yeah.
Maybe replace it with a few more Brute Drones. That would be an easy list to run.
Nice.
You know what I missed? I missed your I say missed. I was glad they weren't there. Was your Force-Grown Drone hand grenades? I think those are always great fun. So yeah, you could bring more Brute Drones, but almost like having a few of them running a bit of interference could be fun as well. And yeah, I feel like for something like my crossbowmen, I mean, they just instantly die.
Yes.
Right? And that would be like, that would feel like, oh yeah, this has done its work. And you'd probably still have a stand left, right? Or maybe like a stand and a half. And that would then run into something else. And you're just like, great.
But that's the really enjoyable thing about running those mini sets of Force-Grown Drones with a catabolic node in them is they are designed to die.
Yeah.
So when they take shots from distance and they lose a stand, or even if they lose 2 and get broken, I think,
no problem.
Right, I'm going to kill it myself anyway.
Yeah.
So, as long as I get it in contact, that it's done its job, and it's so cheap. Even with the catabolic node, it's 140. So yeah, you can fit a couple of them in there, and it's fun to play.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I think for me, what I was missing was a nice block of Ashen Dawn. I think that would have been nice to play around with. I think just something that would stand up against that big brick of Brute Drones and just say, see you later to all that damage. Obviously, the double clash would hurt, but Brute Drones don't have cleave.
No. Which
means when I'm on defense 4, as long as I don't roll horrifically, which, is not guaranteed, it should be fine, right? And just something that sticks you there so that then the Ashen Dawn the Crimson Tower could do what they're meant to do. And I feel like the whole game, so one thing I spent money on was, spent points on, was an upgrade to give the order of the Crimson Tower unit that the Priory Commander was in, it gives them +1 to their clash value when they perform impact attacks. So it's called Oliphant's Roar. And I also had to get something called Long Lineage as a mastery to be able to give the Priory Commander the ability to buy an heirloom, because he can't do that normally, unlike other characters. So you're like, I'm dumping all these points in, and I'm like, I really want to use this thing. And I only really got 1 charge off with them. And that was when they were down to like 2 stands and the commander left. And I was like, oh, that sucks. But if I had the Ashen Dawn there anchoring that, then I've got no problem coming in later on with my Crimson Tower and finishing that off. And so I think, I did miss that. And I think because they were both blocks of 4, I could just replace 1 block of Crimson Tower with an Ashen Dawn. I think that should work out points-wise and probably leave me with a bit of spare pennies to put on standard bearers and things like that. I think that's probably the main change I'd make.
Apart from, would you reduce the number of units of mercenary crossbowmen that you'd run?
No, that's not even a consideration, Sam. Not even a consideration. I mean, look, okay, they're 105 points each. And I brought, what did I say, 6 of them, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like 600, 50, I don't know the maths, 600 and something points. But like, I feel like I'd easily spend that on a brick or something. But I feel like the maneuverability and flexibility it gives you, especially on those activations, because I feel like you always get this with Spires, Sam. When you activate your force-grown drones, you're like, great, which ones do I choose? Yeah. I've got no problem with that. And that gives you so much flexibility. So when you do fail a supremacy roll, you're not immediately slapped in the face by it.
Yeah.
Because you're like, right, okay, maybe the force-grown drone unit I really wanted to go first doesn't go first, but I'm not punished by having to make that unit that just got attacked now attack itself. I can actually go and do the other thing that I wanted to do, which was I was going to put second. And so I think for the crossbowman, there were a couple of times where I was just like, actually being able to just always ensure that crossbowman would do something at some point was just great. So I think,
in fact, that did punish me in that game, not having loads of force-grown drones.
Yes.
Because you had killed the unit with having won a supremacy roll, I think.
Right, yes. I think that was true.
And then I drew the card and I said to you,
like, yep,
this turn is not going to go well for me, because then everything activated after the thing that you acted into it. Yeah.
Man. But that was a great game. I really enjoyed it. I think, we did get a little bit tired towards the end, but Sam put up with my nitpicking and...
But the score was absolutely fair according to the rules of the game. 33-19, because you had survived much longer than I did with scoring units and the ability to move. That's what that scenario is kind of designed to set up to do. And it did show what was good with both lists. So objective.
But I definitely walked away from that with like a sense of like, I know there's some things I want to do differently. I know there's something different in the list. And I think when you walk away with a win, that's not always a given that you're going to be able to learn from it as well as you are a loss, because you're like, right, I can specifically call out that thing that caused me to lose there. Whereas actually, like in that, I was like, I still felt like I lost. And I'm thinking about all these decisions I made and all these like list choices I did. I'm just like, right, okay, this would actually help. And I think that's like a win-win in that situation. But
Well, I think it's interesting chatting to you afterwards. You've now been like, because before I remember you always used to run like everyone runs 1 or 2 mercenary crossbowmen. But I feel like now every time I chat to you and you're like sending me a new list you're thinking of, there's always quite a few mercenary crossbowmen, and it's definitely won you over to like now it's like rather than like I'll just tag 1 or 2 and at the end you're like, no, I think I'm gonna start with at least 3 or 4. But it's definitely interesting hearing about the Crimson Tower, because when I built the list I really thought they would both be guaranteed their charges, because I thought there'll be so many speed bumps there's no way you'll lose your charges. But it's interesting to hear the Abomination still got round and like got in your way and caused you some problems. And
that's the combination of those 2 lists, because the mercenary crossbowmen formed at this long line, and then because everything of mine was up the board so quickly, there wasn't the ability to then move forward and create those speed bumps.
Right.
And then the Abomination is so fast that it can just jump in
Yeah.
down the sides, and that is what happened. So I think against something that's a little bit slower moving, it probably would do that. They'd be able to sit behind and then jump, across their own unit.
Yeah. Man, I think that's really interesting what you said about like, your list complemented mine in that sense. Because I feel like, Josh, we had this talk the other day, didn't we? Probably when we last played, about the fact that like doing meme lists is really fun, but you can't tell if your list works, because if you're playing against another stupid list, you're like, well, I mean, it worked against that, but I don't know if this is going to work against like a well put together kind of more meta based army.
So if you had run that list against the list you pulled together for LGT, 100 Kingdoms against 100 Kingdoms, how do you think you would have performed?
So if I did this list versus my LGT list, okay, I'm gonna have to bring up my LGT list. I'm not gonna run through it or anything because I just don't,
Because I'm thinking the one that I ran, I had 2 Abominations in that list: Incarnate Sentinels, 2 massive blocks of Force-Grown Drones, and some Strix. And I was running and there was a Biomancer in there. That makes a difference. I was running all sorts of healings and, overcharging things so they would get lots of extra attacks. I think I would have taken a whole bunch of damage quite early, and I would have healed a fair bit of it up. But you might have taken out one of the big blocks just because you've got so many arrows. With 6 blocks.
Yeah.
Now that's a lot of shots that you're getting in. If you're in the right position to reach, if you could target them all at once,
and also the Abominations and Brutes are all size 2. So even if I'm like ranked up and my Mercenary Crossbowmen are all sat behind each other, they are guaranteed to be able to shoot at a Brute drone or an Abomination within range.
Yeah. So you did kill it was 8 stands of Force-Grown Drones plus the Pharaohs, and that's the same size as the blocks I was running in LGT, so it's a good chance that you would have taken out either my scoring High Clone Executor or the Biomancer.
Okay, yeah.
And I wouldn't have been happy about either of those.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, so my LGT list here was a much more combined arms. I think it could have done well against that list. I think it still had lots of activations, which is good. So I think I was on like something like 12 or something like that, which is quite nice. I think there's like seven regiments. No, not 12. What am I about? So 7 regiments and 3 officers. So that's 9 activations. So I think that was nice. It was nowhere near as much as I had for this thing. So I think that would have hurt me, because actually there was points in the games where I had a couple of regiments at the end where you were done with your activations and I had a couple of things to play around with, and that was quite nice. I think that would have not done so well. My LGT list wouldn't have done so well against your Abomination and Spiders list in that sense. But yeah, I think all of those AP one shots are really nice. That's what makes Mercenary Crossbowmen. Just being able to plink down the defense so that your plink damage is like reliable plink damage like that. I think I'm almost like, I've got a list for this Sluggers event coming up, and it's basically based on, it kind of works, and I could have it all painted, so I'm going to stick with that. But if you were to tell me I could paint a new army in 2 seconds and it would be fine, I would definitely be running like, even at 1500 points, I'd run 4 Mercenary Crossbowmen just to be able to play around with that for sure. Wow.
New meta emerging. Yeah, that means it's going to get nerfed in the next balance.
Oh, 100%. 100%. No, you know what? My hope is that because Mercenary Crossbowmen, along with the Men-at-Arms, were part of those, the original core set, where the cards had the original stat line on. And so what I'm hoping is that because it has AP1 on the cards, they won't change it in the game. so that people don't get confused, because they haven't changed any of them yet, really. I think that's a lie. They definitely changed the clash value on the force grown drone since, because it's like 4 stand down to 3 now. But
you're right. Yeah, that has changed. And it's updated the wording on the abomination one, because that is now terrifying 1 rather than just
terrifying. Yeah. There you go. Well, gents, I think that was a good one. I think we'll end it there. But thank you very much for listening to our conversation, our very detailed battle report, basically. But yeah, I think it's good. It was a good game. I hope you guys can get something from it. We have an email address, so if you would like to pose us some questions, we will answer to the best of our abilities.
Or give us a suggestion of your meme list and we'll try it out.
Oh, 100%. If you got a meme list that you like the sound of, then send it in to us. Who wants to read out the email? Is it me?
I'll do it.
Okay, go on, Josh.
At joshingaroundinaya@gmail.com.
Sorry, what was that?
joshingaroundinaya@gmail.com.
Brilliant. Right, it'll all be in the description as well. But yeah, thanks again for listening. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Thank
See
you.